right, here we go. Episode 3, Power Performance Podcast. We have Molly Mulcahy on today. I went to college with Molly at Westfield State. Molly, how we doing?
Good. How are you? I
I'm
feel like
doing.
I haven't seen you in so long. It's
I
crazy.
know. It's been a while. 2019 we graduated. So how's everything been? You're living down in Tampa. How is it?
It's great. Honestly, I didn't expect to move down here, but like during quarantine, I came to visit Emily, my older sister. She also lives down here, and I was like, oh, this feels so right. And then after graduating from Merrimack, because I just graduated from Merrimack with my master's, I was like, you know what? Let's do something crazy. And I moved.
All right,
No
cool.
job in line, just moved. So
Cool. Heck yeah. Relating to that, we got like 16 inches of snow yesterday. So
wow.
yeah, we have a lot, and there's definitely no snow down there. What is the temperature down there right now?
Well, today's actually kind of chilly, but let me check my temperature real quick.
Like 70 probably.
No, it's 43 this morning.
Oh, that's not bad.
But later today it will be 61. Tomorrow's going to be 75. So
All right,
just get
cool.
through today, you know?
All right. So Tampa, Florida.
Mhm.
Where do you currently work?
Okay, so I came down here with no job lined up, and the first job I got was actually at Trader Joe's.
Okay.
Um, which is great. It's been great. The second job I got was at the University of Tampa as a professor, which is pretty cool. I never thought I'd be back in the classroom, but I love it.
Yep.
And then my last job that I got maybe about 2 months ago, I'm at Tampa Sports Academy as a strength and conditioning coach.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, it's been really cool. It's not team-based. It's more client individual. I can do team.
Okay, so you do individual based, correct?
Yeah. Yep. For the most part, again, like I have groups that come in. Like next week, I have a bunch of softball ladies coming in. And I'm gonna train them. So
Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about you. First off, Westfield State. What'd you think? Because we both went there.
yeah, Westfield will always have a place in my heart. I love that place so much. Yeah, no, Westfield's great. I went there actually because of my sister, Emily. I know we're going to be probably talking about her a lot because she's
Yeah.
the reason I am the coach that I am today. But she got me into strength and conditioning. She was into the Olympic lifting, all that stuff. And I thought it was really, really badass. And I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do too. So what had happened was Dr. Sawyer. Do you remember Dr. Sawyer?
I do.
Yeah, so he had her doing an internship at Westfield, and I was helping out, but he was like, we got to get you some credits for this. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So I was a full team with Emily, and I got 3 credits out of it. So basically like a full class. And that's when I realized, I was like, yes, strength conditioning is for me.
Yeah.
And I was always an athlete, so I loved it. It was great. So
Nice. So what I do, I live in the full-time CrossFit space, actually.
no way.
Yes.
You went to CrossFit?
So I'm full-time CrossFit at a place
Okay.
called Reach Athletics. I absolutely love it. And we'll talk more about how I made that transition.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love it. And it actually adapts to strength and conditioning
Very cool.
more than you think it would, which is really cool. And some of the things that I get to do. But so for everyone that follows me, it's mostly CrossFitters that follow me. But we're going to talk about a lot about strength conditioning. And that's what we actually went to college for. And that's what I wanted to do first. And then I kind of bridged over to CrossFit. And you were a 2-sport athlete at Westfield too, right? We like to talk about athletics.
Yeah, I mean, I ran cross country all 4 years and then did track. Wasn't a great athlete, but I did it, right? Managed it.
On
So,
the second episode, I had a guy named Josh Beaker on here. He's a pretty famous CrossFit athlete, and he tried track for a little while. And we talked about how you discover how you're either more athletic or less athletic than you think you really are. And track and field is pretty dynamic at doing that. It does it really quick.
it does, and it shows you a lot about yourself too. So
Yeah.
I'm happy those days are over, but I miss them at the same time.
Post Westfield, you went to Merrimack, correct?
Correct. Yeah.
And what'd you study?
All right. So I went to Merrimack. I got my master's in exercise and sports science with a concentration of strength and conditioning. Now, when I was applying to grad school, Merrimack was the only grad school I applied to.
Okay.
I was like, okay, this is where I'm going. And the only way I'm going to go here is if I get a GA position.
Okay.
So right off the bat, I was like, I won't be able to afford the school unless I get half of it paid for.
Yeah.
So there was a GA spot. Basically, you work for Merrimack, you work at Merrimack College, and you are a strength and conditioning coach there. Um, and I worked with Coach Kamal, Coach Leach, and Coach Vaughn. They're all great mentors. I can only speak good things of them. So yeah, I went through the interview process. I was like one out of, I don't even know how many applicants. I want to say like 150, and I was one of the 6 that got this position.
Awesome.
So
Now, for
yeah,
people out there that don't know, Merrimack is in northern Mass, correct?
yeah. So it's right outside of Boston.
Okay.
So North Andover.
Yep. And the athletes you were working with were Division One, correct?
Correct.
Right. So Division One. So it's big time.
Big,
Um,
yep.
and you love the GA. So for a lot of people, younger coaches, speaking about a GA position, can you explain like what that like entails?
Yeah.
For people that want to get in the strength conditioning field, don't understand like how can I go to grad school for this? What will I do? Like explain that process.
Okay. Yeah. So I kind of had no idea either. I was more or less like, I want to go to grad school. I want to get my master's, but how am I going to pay for this? Right.
Yeah.
Now I got into Merrimack, and I knew Merrimack was a great college. It was a 9-month program. So I was like, this is it. Like, I'm going to do this. And then I started researching GA positions, which is basically you work for that college. You're working full-time as a full-time, whether it's a coach or whatever you want to do. And they pay for either they give you a stipend, they pay you, or you get your tuition, ducked down.
Yeah.
So I worked 16 to 18-hour days. On top of that, I was taking classes, doing homework, completing assignments. And on the outside of it, not only was I working that much, I also was creating the programs for my athletes.
Yeah.
So it was a lot. It was probably the hardest 9 months of my life. But I come out of it and I'm like, that was worth every second.
Awesome.
I also made connections that you wouldn't even believe. So
Yeah. Now, what teams were you put with teams, or were you just like thrown into the weight room and like show up to every team? Like, how'd that work?
No, so it was actually very organized. Coach Kamal, he's a really organized guy. He's great, but he paired us up with who he thought was going to be the best match versus like based off of our personalities. So he paired me with women's volleyball,
Okay.
baseball, and then halfway through the year, our assistant strength and conditioning coach actually got a different job somewhere else,
Okay.
which was great for him. But then all of his teams had to go somewhere. So, I got put in charge of sprinters and jumpers. I was secondary coach to women's ice hockey, secondary to football. I was helping out with men's soccer. So you want to help out as much as you can.
Yeah.
Of course, you have your primary teams that, you work with. And yeah, so when I got those teams, I was like, what, volleyball? I was like, I ran cross country. I'm 5 foot even. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But it turns out it worked out for the better because now I'm training a professional volleyball player at
Heck
Tampa,
yeah.
West Canada.
Awesome.
So.
Yeah. So, and for most people out there, if you've never been in the strength conditioning world, if you've never been to a strength conditioning gym, those programs are not specifically like CrossFit. They are super specialized, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very.
They're
Yep.
extremely specialized for each individual athlete and each individual sport to work on sport specific style movements. So like a volleyball player, that's all power, jumping, right?
Yeah, of course. And
Compared
you
to
think about, yeah.
compared
You
to a
gotta think about,
baseball player, right?
yeah, ankle mobility, even actually it's kind of funny you said that, but baseball and volleyball are kind of the same based off of like overhead sports.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's kind of cool because you can create similarities between the two, but you have to base it off of, it's not only like the sport, but it's also the individual athlete. So you're creating a program for the team, but you're also modifying for each individual athlete. So.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. Now let's talk about I think this would be pretty cool. Let's talk about where you work now, Tampa Sports Academy, correct?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So first off, explain what is like the philosophy. Now, is this like bring in teams or bring in like individuals?
Okay. So I'm pretty new there still. I'm like only 2 months in, but
Okay.
I am my own coach.
Okay.
I can bring in whoever I want to bring in.
Cool.
So if someone comes up to me and is like, hey, I want to train with you. I've seen your page. I've seen your website. I've seen all these things. I want to work with you. I'm like, sure. Here's my info. Let's get you set up with Tampa Sports. All you have to do, we'll come in. You'll pay whatever the fees are, and then we'll get started. And we
Awesome.
can work anytime. So I can train them anytime. If I want to bring in a full team, I can do that.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of freedom, which is great. And I love that. I'm not used to it, but it's been a good learning curve for me. Usually I'm
Yeah.
told what to do, but now I have this advantage of, okay, I can create my own schedule. I can bring in whoever I want to bring in. I can train teams. I can train individuals. I can train older population. I can train athletes. So it's really all up to me,
Yeah.
which is
Heck yeah.
really
Which
nice.
is cool. It's so when I first started in the field, I was just a personal trainer. I just had to get my feet wet. So I had to get something in there. I needed to find some sort of like way to make income. Um, so I had to understand how to like, how do I deal with client retention? Like, how do I deal with their lives? And then understanding like, it's not like their lives come first, but like you can work around their schedule and that like helps you kind of build your schedule. Um,
Right.
which is definitely different than like working like a 9 to 5. Like there's,
Exactly.
it's way different. Now Tampa Sports Academy, what is it? Like, is it this monstrous 20,000 square foot building? Is it like a little box? What is it?
It's huge.
Yeah.
So you walk in, you see the front desk, and then you walk in further, and it's just this huge turf. Like on the right side, you have like, some treadmills. We really don't have a lot of machines, couple lat pull downs, things like that, cable machines. And then on the other side, we have our 3 platforms, dumbbell racks, and then in the middle is just turf. And that's the difference between, regular gyms and like, I don't know, I haven't been to a CrossFit gym in a couple of years,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it's the difference is like it's basically all this space because we do performance based things, so a lot
Yes.
of sprinting mechanics, a lot of like agility, things like that. So it's working on the turf most of the time, honestly, for me anyways. And of course I go to the platform, but once we're on the platform we're doing our deadlifts or our front squats or maybe some cleans, things like that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So the CrossFit gym that I work at here,
mhm.
Reach Athletics, is essentially a giant box, and then it has a monster rig, like a rogue rig, on one side
Okay.
with
Yeah.
10 squat racks, and then we have 2 yokes that are just very modified squat racks. But then the rest of the facility is just we have a turf that's 75 feet long, and then it's just open because CrossFit's like Olympic lifting. But then you need a lot of space, like boxes, dumbbells, rowers, assault bikes, all sorts of stuff. So when you walk in, the space is ginormous. And
Yeah.
then it just allows for all this free moving, different like type of functional fitness, which is pretty cool. Um, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was just gonna say, I think back to like when I did CrossFit back in college, and I was in the best shape of my life.
Yeah.
When I wasn't doing athletics, I was just doing CrossFit, and it was like my senior year, and I was like in great shape, and I loved it. It was so fun. But going based off of what I learned and with
Yeah.
strength conditioning, the
Yeah.
whole
It's just
stigma,
different. It's
it's
just
just
different.
different.
And we want to touch in all aspects. I know people, I have coaches that are going to come on here that are strictly bodybuilding. And like, that's all
Oh,
they
that's
want to do.
cool.
And then we
Right.
have strength conditioning and we have CrossFit and we have, the weight loss. Like that's a whole nother side of things where it's like, we are just focusing on losing weight.
It's
Now
crazy.
let's touch in the strength conditioning world. Um,
Okay.
now you say you work with, what is like the dynamic of the athlete that you work with? You have a pro volleyball player and then like, do you work with like a 12-year-old? Like what is that sway that you have?
Okay, so my client base right now, I have a 7-year-old.
Okay,
I
cool.
have a couple 9-year-olds. I have a 12-year-old who is a gymnast, potentially could go to the Olympics. She's really good.
Heck yeah.
I have a 2-time gold medalist. Her children are training with me.
Which sport?
Tennis. She did tennis.
Tennis.
So
Oh, heck yeah.
the 2-time gold medalist is the mother, but I'm training her children,
But
which
there's good genes there.
there's good genes and there's a lot of pressure.
Oh,
Um,
well, yeah, obviously. I mean, so let's hang on. Let's bump there real quick. I've
sure.
explained this story all the time. So I've dabbled. In college, post college, I've played in the strength conditioning field. And one of the things that people don't understand is compared to like personal training or like Group X or CrossFit, things like that. Like, yeah, there's pressure, but like when you get a client like that, that is a different type of pressure because you're expected to do a certain thing and get them
Yep.
to a certain level. And if
Yep.
they don't meet that level, right, that's on you. So there's a different type of pressure compared to
Yeah.
like, even having like, a top end here, like having a top end CrossFitter, we can work with them. And there's pressure there. But like having a gold medal tennis daughter, different type of pressure.
Daughter and son.
Yeah, different type of pressure built into that. And that's in the strength and conditioning field all the time.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think about it and I'm like, even though I'm considered a strength and conditioning coach and say I do more individualized based, right? Or private sector, you could say that's what we call it. Um, it's so different from like the college
Yeah.
sector. I
Yeah.
mean, obviously I've worked in the college sector. I love working with teams, but when you work with individual clients, it's almost like more pressure's on than when you work with a whole team.
Yeah.
Because if they fail, it's on you versus it could be on the other coach. It could be on,
Well, that's
obviously,
true. It's
yeah,
true. And like, which we can just talk numbers, like say it's just you, 15-person team. Your eyes can only land in so many places as a coach, right? When it comes to CrossFit or when it comes to team strength and conditioning, you only have 2 eyes. And if there's a certain amount of athletes, you can only get around to so many people. That's just how it works.
yeah,
Where
yeah.
like personal training game, it is you and that one person. And I think that is a super like dynamic part about whatever you're doing, strength conditioning, personal training, anything like that. When it's a one-on-one, just then there's more pressure of like, okay, like I'm devoting this entire part
Right,
or like hour of my life or even 2 hours because of all the programming stuff. We'll talk
right.
about that later to just this one person.
Yep.
It's
And
a lot.
it is a lot. I mean, I miss the college sector a lot because just like the vibe of the team and just like being able to go in there and just hype everyone up. And it was like, yes, you couldn't look at every single athlete at once, but that's where you position yourself in the room where you can see everything.
Yeah.
And we can even talk about that too. And like just knowing how to do that with your body. And that's just like, as you grow as a coach, you'll learn that. And then eventually it just becomes second nature where you just learn to put yourself in positions where you see the whole entire room,
Yeah.
where you can look at everything and be like, oh, I got to go fix that, come back to it. Oh, I got to go fix that, come back to it.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah.
That's
Could
no,
totally
that's huge. Understanding, and I mean that's a big part about what I do is understanding pre-COVID times. Right now, we limit ourselves at 12, but pre-COVID times, I mean, there sometimes you got 25, 30 people,
Right.
right? And understanding how to control that group environment. It's the same thing with college strength and conditioning. It's all eyes are on you, and it's up to you to kind of control this pretty much hectic environment at some points, especially like you got football in there, like it's a
Oh,
party.
yeah.
Like it's a full blown party.
That's game time. Here we go.
Yeah, it's a party. So let's talk about you as a coach. What are some of your favorite parts? It could be now, it could be in college. What are some of your favorite parts about strength conditioning coaching?
Listen, I love strength and conditioning. I love everything about working out. I really do. I love the way it makes me feel. But after this experience at Merrimack, the thing that I remember the most is just making connections with people and those relationships. And like right now I'm getting the chills. Like I miss my team so much. Like I can't even
Yeah,
explain to you just like the people that they were and like the relationships we like built and going out of it and being like, I only get to train you for 9 months. And 9 of those months, or I guess 3 of those months were taken away from COVID, sadly.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so my time got shortened, but you know what? Like building relationships, and I never thought that I'd be going to strength conditioning focused on that aspect. I thought it was always just like, yeah, get huge, get big, work hard. You know what I
yeah.
mean? But don't
And I,
get me wrong, love that part.
yeah. Well, it goes to the coach and the athlete. Always remember, you never know who's in the room. I always say that. Like you
Right.
never know who's in the room. Like a year down the line, all of a sudden they could be like, I remember you back in this room, and you have this great connection formed, and then all of a sudden, who knows where you end up. But then also, right, we can talk to younger coaches or people like that are still in the exercise program at Westfield or that are getting their GA or like being a GA at Merrimack, right? If they hear this, make connections early, make them often. Like have a conversation.
Yes,
You know what I mean?
exactly.
Because you
It's
never know who you're talking to, and you
it's
never
so
know who
true.
they know.
Exactly. And the crazy thing was, I'm going to talk a lot about Coach Kamal because he taught me everything basically.
Yeah,
And he's great. So go to Merrimack, talk to Coach Kamal. He's awesome. But basically, when we first got there as GAs, we're young, we're scared, we have no idea what we're doing. And he's just like, meet people.
Yeah.
Meet everyone you can. Remember names. Remember something interesting about them, because the next time you pass them and you say, "Hey, so and so, I remembered that your favorite color is this." They're
Yeah.
going to remember you. You already made that connection, and now guess what? You have someone on your side. And it's not about having someone on your side. It's about like, I just made someone feel good that I remembered them, and now we have a relationship.
Exactly. Well, so what I tell myself, like if I go to a meeting or like when I went and got one of my CrossFit certifications, things like that, like if I see someone in a room that is like one a higher power than me, or someone that I've always wanted to introduce myself to, like I'm gonna go up and I'm gonna introduce myself, make that connection, because it might not be now, but say a year down the line, say like they see me again, at least my foot's in the door, right? Or
Mhm.
anybody, like anybody. It can even be a client. Like I've had clients where I make this great personal connection, and then maybe something falls off or whatever, and then I see them a year down the line, and then all of a sudden we have this sparkling connection already, and I get to now train with their daughter or one of their best friends, or I get to be in with their company, things like that. Like you never know what that connection is going to do when it comes to meeting people, meeting future clients, working with different businesses. Like it is a very strong power that is built into becoming a coach. Like it's a multifaceted tool that we need to have.
I mean, not only coach, but like just a human being, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about like for my other job, my professor position at UT. I emailed this guy like way before I was even graduated from, Merrimack, and didn't even know I was going to move down to Tampa. But I emailed him to ask him a couple questions. And then down the line, I emailed him again and was like, "Hey, do you have any positions opening?" And he was like, "I remember you. Yes, I actually do."
Exactly.
And there I had it. I got a position, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, exactly. Now when it comes to being a coach right now, would you say you're more professor or more coach? Or
More coach.
split more coach?
Honestly, split down the middle. Like, I'm enjoying both sides.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying educating students who are just interested in this field in the classroom, being like, "Hey, this is what it's all about." And then I'm also obviously enjoying the side where I get to show what I
Yeah.
can do. I
So
get to show, my programming skills. I get to show my relationship building skills and actually help clients, become the best possible athlete that they can be.
yeah.
So it's split right now.
Yeah, that's
Um,
awesome. Well, you get to work in both sides. You get to, like you said, show your skills, but then also like you get to go meet someone that is a clean slate, white piece of paper that
yeah,
might not know anything, and they're just coming to you for anything, like
right,
trying to retain some sort of knowledge.
right.
Now, do you get a lot of that at the University of Tampa?
It's hard, because I'm so excited about what I do, and
Yep.
I'm just, like, so passionate, like, every day I'm just like, "Yes, let's do this, let's learn today," and, you remember being in college, like, they're freshmen.
Yeah.
They just wanna get through the class, like,
Yeah.
they don't
There,
wanna
it's
sit there.
tough.
Right, but I do have those occasional students that are like, "Teach me, help
Yeah.
me. I wanna be a strength and conditioning coach. I know that's what you do. Can I interview you? Can I have a couple questions with you?" Um, and that's been great too. And just like being able to like help others, I can't explain to you how excited I get over it.
Yeah.
And
So when I talk about like, for me, I've been asked this question multiple times, like, why do you coach? Or like to younger coaches, like, what's like rewarding about coaching or what gets you into it? And it's that statement you just made. Like, I get to teach somebody or give somebody a piece of knowledge that I have and give it to them. And hopefully they can give it to 10 other people, right? Like, I get to help somebody progress, even if it's 1%, one thing they didn't know as a coach, or like even when it comes to programming or like anything that they didn't know before, and then they can hopefully pass that knowledge on to somebody else, which is I think is the most rewarding part.
it's sharing your passion. It really is. And like there's passion and then there's purpose.
Yes.
So obviously, like we have a passion for what we do,
Yep.
but then I truly believe that it is my purpose to, help individuals learn the ways of strength and conditioning, nutrition, all that stuff, because, I'm so passionate about it that I'm able to share that knowledge and like get people excited about it because I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So
No, it's true. Um, it's true. And I think one of the things with our field, the way that it's run, the hours that we work, because our hours are not normal, right? We have to
that's
work
fine.
around people's days. So, for example, if you're a new coach or you're somebody out there that's like, what do these coaches do? For example, we get up super early. Coach,
Yep.
coach, coach.
Yep.
Usually some fitness involved in the middle,
Maybe.
maybe hanging out.
Maybe lunch.
Yeah, lunch, hanging out, things like that. And then we go back. It's kind of like a split schedule. So if you wonder what a coach's life is like, it's get up early, work with people before they work or they have kind of obligations. Then do our thing, fitness, lunch, take the dog to the vet, whatever we got to do that day. And then come back and coach more. So it's like a split schedule. It's different than the average life.
I had a little bit of taste of it this past year,
Yeah.
of the college sector, and 3:45, baby, every day,
Yeah.
getting up, ass crack of dawn, and I was excited.
Yeah.
Yes, I was tired as hell, and I was like, holy crap, I just want to sleep. I'm walking in and I'm a zombie. But like, yeah.
You're ready to go though. Like it's like you get up early. I talked about this. I try and get up very early every day. And part of it's because I have work and I have to get things done. But most of the time I'm up anywhere between like 5:15 and 5:45. But when you get up that early, right? And this is any job. When you get up that early, the amount of time you have to operate in a day compared to if you get up at 9 or 10 o'clock, try it out for a month. Like get up at 5.
Yeah.
4 in the afternoon comes around. All of a sudden you're like, I've run out of stuff to do. Especially if you work a normal job. Like you go home and you're like, I have nothing to do. Like there's nothing else I have to accomplish. So getting up early matters. Now, when it comes to programming, right? Because we can talk about it in the strength and conditioning field. Programming, we talked about it a little bit, sports specific, but programming really does matter a ton.
Yes.
In your field. Now, let's talk about what goes into that. Because I don't think the average person or the average collegiate athlete, high school athlete, understands the time and kind of the research that goes into programming in the strength conditioning field.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so I could talk about this for hours, but basically, what are our needs? We go through a needs analysis. Now, I remember CrossFit, like, CrossFit's a whole different ballgame, right? You kind of teach the basic movements that everyone needs to do. But here's the thing with strength and conditioning, usually we're working with athletes, right? And usually there's a bunch of different athletes who play a bunch of different sports. Now, what are the needs of that sport? What are the needs of that individual? And what exercises are going to help them? Okay. So before even meeting them or before even like starting to program, you need to get your needs all into, organization, right? Once you get that, you do this whole eval with them, you see what they can do, and then you start writing your program. Okay. So first you need to evaluate the individual with their flexibility, mobility, strength, endurance, things like that. Once you have that, you start from the basics. And I mean the absolute basic of you're doing a half kneeling, overhead press with 10-pound dumbbell.
Yeah.
And this could be a baseball athlete. This could be a full man. And you're still having them do a half kneeling dumbbell overhead press.
Yeah.
Now, the reason for this is because say you've never worked with this athlete before, you want to start planting these seeds so that you can build off of that.
Yes.
And I like to think about it as like, I can't come in to a half dead tree and try to rebuild it, right?
Yeah.
I need to just start my own tree.
Yeah. And one thing, and for coaches out there, right? Any coach, you can never start too regressed, ever.
No.
Because all you can do is go forward.
Right.
You sure as heck can start too progressed. And then all of a sudden you're in a heap of, you know what? You can never start like when we come in here, like you can never start too small because there's always room to grow. But if you like all of a sudden get someone in something and it's too much, all of a sudden now you're backtracking and it's just not going to go well. Yeah.
It's horrible. I mean, I can talk from experience. I mean, I can speak for myself. Like I've done that and I've been like, oh no, like crap, this is not good. So, I've learned you got to start from the beginning. You got to make sure you know what the athlete can do. You got to put them in position for success.
Yeah. It doesn't matter the level of the athlete either.
No, not at all.
And they'll understand too, because if they've been in this game before, right? If we're talking like college or semi-pro athlete, right? Or even a high school athlete, if they've been in the strength conditioning field before, they have a good understanding of what's happening. You're getting to know them. They're getting to know you. And progression is going to come, but you can't expect it right out the gate. No one can.
I mean, honestly, that's why it's so important to stick with your coach, stick by the side of your coach, because say you keep flip flopping back and forth. Most coaches are, I hope most coaches have the same mentality that I do of, I don't know you. I want to see what you can do. I want to plant these seeds of planting them together because I want to give you my knowledge, but I might not coach like another coach that you had before. I might not use their form. So it's only going to put you in a position where you might injure yourself or,
It's
worse,
true.
like, yeah, put you in a bad form. And it's just, so start from scratch. That's all I can say.
It's
Start
true.
from scratch.
Every athlete is a new athlete. And the other thing too, when we're in the strength and conditioning field, the other thing too is every athlete, in my eyes, is not a new athlete, but we can say a new athlete after each season
Yes.
because
Yes.
injuries, right? Overtraining, or like if you get a pitcher that just came out, go all the way to top level, World Series, right? They just went all the way through the World Series. They played X amount of games. You got to hit that reboot, rewind button because that shoulder just threw the ball a couple thousand times. Like they're a new athlete. You have to start from scratch and rebuild that thing.
Yes. And another thing is, I think back to my time at Merrimack and I was like, I had baseball guys that were seniors. Their
Yeah.
form's great. They don't need to be doing, the regression stuff, but they were so, cool about it. They were like, I understand why we're
Yeah.
doing this. I understand that it's good for my body. And like, once the athlete understands that, once you educate them that, this is what we need to do and this is why we need to do things, they understand. And
Yeah.
then they can only get better.
Yeah. And it's the programming that is
Right.
used is built to avoid plateaus. It's
Exactly.
built for you always to be growing. No, and it doesn't have to be like the same thing all the time. We're not always building muscle, or we're not always gaining this crazy amount of athleticism. Like it works on different things in different sections, right? Hypertrophy,
Right.
strength, power, all that stuff. It's working in different platforms, trying to work on different things. So when
Right.
you get an athlete and it's like super regressed or like first week, they might be like, oh, like this isn't too intense yet or too heavy. We get that all the time. Like, hey man, I can do heavier. It's like, I know you can, but let's take a step back. Let's build a foundation. And then so we can take step forwards in a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks out. Right.
Yeah. So like basically based off of everything that we're just saying. So, when I start programming for a new team, say it's like the beginning, they're coming in, it's a volleyball team, they're coming in season. I create what's called an annual plan.
Yeah.
And this annual plan is basically sectioning out each, section of the whole year of, okay, this is now GPP phase. This is like, I don't know, hypertrophy phase or whatever, like, and this is going to be their peak phase. You section it all out and then you can see, and now you're organized.
Yeah.
After that, you go through a progression sheet. Okay. A progression sheet is basically putting all the exercises you think you want to put in this first section of program, and you start making your progressions. Okay, what's a progression after this? Okay. So say I start making a 3-week program for a volleyball athlete. Okay. I have all these the exercises lined up. I pick them, I put them in, right?
Yep.
And then 3 weeks later go by, and all I have to do is move over one more week to the new progressions, and it's
Yeah.
right there for me.
Yeah.
So it just sets you up for success because you're not sitting there like, oh, what's the next progression? It's already
Yeah.
there because you already
So
completed it.
let's test your knowledge, and it's good. We got it.
Okay.
We'll test your knowledge, but then we'll also kind of give people an example to kind of understand what you're talking about, coach or athlete, because I talk with people about this all the time that just go into a gym, right? That
Yeah.
don't work with a
Whoa.
coach, go into a
Whoa.
gym, right? And they work out. I'm like, you need to have some sort of foundation where you can stimulate the body or shock the body. So pick any movement and then just
Okay.
talk about a simple progression. You could do the squat, right? Anything. And just like, this is what you could do first. This is what you could do second. Build to here, build to there. Just give a quick example.
All right. Let's go squat. Yeah, we'll go
Okay.
squat. All right. First thing, do we even have the movement pattern of a squat?
Air squat, body weight squat.
Most people don't. So what I do is I take a med ball, I
Yep.
take a mini band, and I say, okay, what you're gonna do, shout out to Merrimack College for this one. You're gonna do an MB squared, okay?
Okay.
Put the mini band right below your knee, hold the med ball, and squat down and press the med ball out, okay? And
Yep.
you hold it. It's an isometric movement. You're just holding it there. This way, as a coach, I can see, okay, are we able to get our hips in the right position? Are we able to, actually hold ourselves and push our knees out? If we can't do that, we might need to grab a heel board and put it underneath their heels. And we're doing that for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
To get the movement pattern.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
After that, okay, maybe we start moving instead of isometric. It
Yep.
takes a long time, and these athletes get frustrated because they're just like, I want to go.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah, you can do it. All right. So then they start moving, right? What's
Okay.
next?
If they look good, you can either get them under a, dumbbell, kettlebell, take away that band, take away the heel board, see if they can press their knees out themselves, without that band tension.
Yeah. A goblet squat.
Goblet squat, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. From there, where do you go?
Once they can hold 120 pounds in their hands while doing a squat, okay, maybe we can get you under a bar.
Okay.
All right.
Front squat?
Front squat, absolutely. And don't get me wrong, it's like I want to put them on the bar. I want to get them going. But here's the thing. They're working out just as hard with a 120-pound dumbbell than if they were with a bar.
It's true. And a lot of in the coaching field, this can be challenging because I struggle with this all the time too. Because athletes, they want more, right? If I have an athlete, right, that is standing if I have an athlete here in section A and I have an athlete here in section B, one is front squatting on a barbell, 225. And then I have an athlete over here that is struggling maybe on lat mobility, shoulder mobility, can't get their hands through, but they're on a 100-pound dumbbell, trying to explain to them, like, you are both gaining work, you're gaining strength, things like that. It is hard to be like, that guy's got X amount of weight on the bar and he's doing a barbell. How am I doing the same thing? It's like, you're just here, man. we're gaining, you're growing just at different places. That's all.
That's the whole thing about coaching, just educating why and educating about their bodies and the reason why, we're not ready for this, or, you know what, you may not even do this. And it's because, and that's okay. And that's because of the way your body moves. And that's where individualism comes into play with even strength and conditioning. Even though the whole team's doing the exact same program, there's still little tweaks that you need to make because you get to know that athlete and you get to know, hey, she can't squat as low as she can, but she can hold more weight than she can. So maybe we need to do quarter squats with her, add a lot more weight for her to get the same amount of, I guess, intensity or volume that she's getting. Even though she's squatting a whole lot less, but she's getting the depth.
Yeah. Exactly.
I could go on.
I know. No, I get it. But that's a great example of just every athlete is individualized and understanding that, like, every person is going to be a different place and the stimulus can always be there, right? It doesn't matter if you're a freshman in college and you're working through banded squats, right? Med ball out in front of you. And then you're a senior in college, right? Understand that senior in college probably started on that banded squat, right? It's training years. It takes time.
And most of the time they go back to that banded squat and they're like, coach, what are we doing? And you're just like, you're doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. It's never bad to hit a reset button in any field. If you're bodybuilding, you're strength conditioning, and you're in CrossFit, it does not matter what you're doing. I'll just say fitness is fitness. You can always hit the reset button. Always. Correct. And just get back to the basics. Get a dumbbell in your hand, get a band in your hand, anything like that. The mobility is a forever test, right? How long can we sustain that thing? Because it gets harder with age. Let me tell you that. We're getting old. We're getting older.
I literally don't understand it, but it's so true. My body hurts.
Yeah,
like,
we are getting.
What is going on?
We are young, but we are getting older, and I can feel it in my knees.
Oh, it's crazy. It's like my back is so, I have the back of an 80-year-old, and it's because strength and conditioning, but I'll never stop. So
let's relate this. So I love to ask these questions. What do you do for fitness?
Okay. So right now I'm a little bit set back because I did just get into a car accident 2 weeks ago.
You okay?
I'm okay. My car is not, but I just got a BMW on the way. So fancy. We're getting there. Big girl moves, right?
Fancy.
Big girl moves. But so prior to my accident, I actually was having back pain. And I went to a chiropractor. I got an MRI done. I have 2 bulging discs, my L4, L5, and a retracting vertebrae in my lower back. So I can never back squat ever again, which is sad. But you know what? It is what it is, and that's the challenges you face with fitness. You got to
Yep.
find other ways to do it, right?
Yep.
And I was able to focus on my upper body strength for a while, and I actually hit a PR of 135 bench.
There you go.
Uh,
So this is my other ready fast
yeah,
track. It doesn't matter if you can't back squat anymore. I love asking these questions. So PR bench is 135.
yes, sir.
Lifetime back squat.
What is it?
Yeah. What is your PR lifetime?
Uh, honestly, I want to go around 215, 220.
There you go. Do you ever deadlift? Right.
Oh, I did.
Okay. What's your PR deadlift lifetime?
315.
Ooh, that's pretty good. Do you clean and jerk or snatch?
I used to.
Okay.
I haven't recently, because of just like putting pressure on my
Yeah.
spine. I really can't right now.
Yep.
Um, my jerk, I'm a lot stronger with pressing overhead than I am pulling from the floor with a clean, which is
Okay.
kind of weird. I
Okay.
know.
Ooh, you have a good deadlift too.
I know. It's here. It's
Yeah.
the
It's the
triple
pull.
extension.
It's
I
the
don't know what
pull.
it is. The second pull, it
Yeah.
gets me.
It's the pull.
Um,
Awesome.
that's a
And
135 though for a clean, and then 185 for a jerk.
heck yeah, that's really good. That's awesome. Well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Now we get into the back half of this thing. Now, what do you do? You live in Tampa. What do you do for
Okay.
fun? Let's get out of the coaching world. Who are you as a person? What's your
Um,
go-to?
I have a dog.
Cool. Oh, nice. Boy,
Uh,
girl.
boy, he's a little dachshund dash hound. I actually rescued him. He's 5 years old.
Nice. What's his name?
I got Opie.
Cool.
I didn't name him, but it kind of fits him. He's literally the light of my life. I love him more than anything.
Yeah.
He's so sweet. So
I'm
we
a
walked.
recent dog owner, by the way. Shout out
Oh,
Wesley. His birthday
yeah.
was yesterday. He's one.
Happy birthday.
He is awesome. He is like, so if you've never owned a dog and then you're in like you're an adult, when you come home, the dog is just happy all the time.
Oh,
It's so good. You can just let go and like your dog, he's going to make your day every day.
I was so afraid before adopting him, and I was like, can I do this? Like, am I going to be a good mommy? Like,
Yeah.
all this stuff. But it's so true. It's like I don't have kids, and
Yeah.
I'm nowhere ready for kids, but like that is my child.
Oh, for
Like
sure.
that is my baby.
For sure. Now, do you live with Emily down there?
I do. So
Awesome.
it's been great. I'm actually in her room right now because it has
Cool.
better lighting.
Cool. What is she still coaching?
She's in grad school right now. She's finishing up grad school.
What is she studying?
Same thing.
Oh, we're going to have to get her on the podcast.
Yeah, same thing. And honestly, she'd be good. She'd be good. We come back on or whatever you needed.
Oh, I have to get her on.
But she's finishing up grad school. She also works at Trader Joe's. We are the dynamic duo. We, we do everything together, but it's great. Like she's my best friend. So
whatever it is to pay the bills,
Yeah. So
it's true. Now when it comes to you and your clientele and down in Tampa, how can people find you? Do you have a website? Is it all social media?
Yeah, no, I mean, I do have a website. I don't even know the link. It's more of like a Google website.
Okay.
But if people wanted to find me, my Instagram, Momo Mulcahy 14 hasn't changed since high school. So
Okay.
give me a follow there. I've been starting to post a lot more, strength and conditioning based things just because that's my life now.
Yep.
Yeah, so you can go
Awesome.
there. We also have a YouTube channel, Tampa Sports, so you can check
Tampa
that out.
Sports on YouTube?
Tampa Sports Academy on YouTube.
Okay, we'll put those links below so people can find you. What about, can they go to like tampasportsacademy.com? Will you come up?
So yeah, I mean, you can go to Tampa Sports Academy and like I don't think my name will be up yet, but it's more or less just like calling, being like, hey, I heard Molly Coach is here. Can I work with Coach Molly? Can you set up a time, or
Awesome.
can I have her information? And
Yeah.
they give out my phone number, they give out my email, they contact me or I contact them, however it works. And then that's how I get my clients. I also, when, there's also a membership thing there. So like you can come in and just have a membership at Tampa Sports.
Cool.
So I've actually picked up a couple clients that way by them seeing me coach.
Yeah.
And they come up to me and they're just like, hey, what are you doing here? And I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, what are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly. You make that relationship.
Right.
Exactly. Well, if you're down in the Tampa area or if you're somewhere in Florida and you need a strength coach, Molly Mulcahy, I'll vouch for her. She's a great human being, first off, and then she's a super educated coach. So it was a pleasure to have you on, Molly. This was really fun.
This was really fun. I appreciate it. I had a great time. If you ever have any questions or, just want to talk, I'm here.
Yeah, awesome. Well, have fun down in Tampa. This was awesome.
Well,
thanks, Molly.
Down by the coast, Pacifico and chasing lime. Easy living down in paradise. Pour me another one, make it a strong one. We're gonna have some fun tonight.